We will be starting in a few minutes, so please take your seats. Good afternoon. Please take your seats so we can start the session. All right, I will request Asif Arif to please start the session with the recitation of Holy Quran, read some verses from Quran, and do the translation with it. Mr. Asif Arif.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. أياما معدودات، فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر، وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين، فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له، وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. Translation: O ye who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become righteous. The prescribed fasting is for a fixed number of days, but whoso among you is sick or is on a journey shall fast the same number of other days. And for those who are able to fast only with great difficulty is an expiation, the feeding of a poor man. And whoso performs a good work with willing obedience, it is better for him. And fasting is good for you if you only knew.
Thank you, Asif Arif Saab. My name is Fateh Qureshi, and I will be emceeing this event tonight. I am the Public Affairs Director for the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community, Los Angeles. It's totally a volunteer position, and I love it dearly. At this point, I will invite our President, Nasser Noor, who will introduce you about the Jamaat and starting remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Nasser Noor, and I serve as the president of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community, Los Angeles. I seek refuge from the Satan, the accursed one, in the name of Allah, who is most gracious and merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, which means that may peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. Respected dignitaries, elected public officials, law enforcement officers, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community of Greater Los Angeles, I welcome you all to our beautiful Baitul Hamid Mosque in Chino. We are honored and delighted that you have accepted our invitation to tonight's iftar dinner. Today we have guests from all walks of life, which include teachers, doctors, professors, lawyers, mayors, elected public officials, law enforcement officers, to name a few. We want to thank you for all joining us tonight and taking the time during the weekend that you may have possibly spent with your loved ones. We have a great program tonight. In a few moments, we will show you a video in which a message from the head of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community of Ahmadiyya Muslim community. His name is Mirza Masroor Ahmad, His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad, and he is going to address us. Before we play the video, I have a brief introduction of His Holiness. His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad is the fifth Caliph or Khalifa of Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Elected to this lifelong position on 22nd April 2003, he serves as the worldwide spiritual and administrative head of an international religious organization with membership exceeding tens of millions spread across 200 countries and territories. So with this, thank you once again for joining us tonight. We'll watch the video and then we'll continue the program. Thank you.
Fulfill the rights of Allah the Almighty or attain His nearness without fulfilling the rights of our fellow human beings and all of God's creation. In addition, we hold similar conferences and events all around the world seeking to bring people together irrespective of their caste, creed, or color, under the banner of humanity, and strive to identify solutions to the problems faced in the world. Our motivation is for true and lasting peace to emerge so that mankind can save itself from self-destruction. Our objective is to raise awareness of the fact that the world stands at the precipice of disaster, and to urge humanity to take a step back and consider our responsibility, not only to the people of today, but also to our future generations. We hold such events so we can proclaim our firm conviction that only in peace lies the salvation of the world. Peace is the golden key to unlocking the door to societal progress and development, and ensuring that our future generations can thrive and prosper. Though we have long preached this message, it seems to have fallen upon deaf ears. I believe the fundamental reason is that the vast majority of the world has turned away from God Almighty and consider materialistic gains and worldly pursuits to be their ultimate objective. It was due to such vain and covetous pursuit that mankind was dragged into two calamitous and harrowing world wars during the 20th century. Rather than learn from the horrors of the past, the world is once again engulfed by warfare and conflict. Increasingly, academics, political experts, and respected analysts are warning that we are approaching a grave period in the history of humanity. For example, the symbolic doomsday clock, controlled by an international panel of some scientists, which forecasts the likelihood of a human-made global catastrophe, was recently turned to just 90 seconds until midnight, the closest to a global disaster it has ever predicted. The scientists stated that we are living in a time of unprecedented danger and warned that there is a significant risk of global war triggered either by accident, miscalculation, or even intentionally. Thus, with all my heart, I pray that may Allah Almighty have mercy upon humanity, and may the people of the world, especially its leaders and policymakers, see sense before it is too late. I pray that instead of warmongering and saber-rattling, they utilize all their faculties and resources to foster peace and security for all people and nations, rather than seeking to feed their egos and satisfy their lust for power by fueling wars. May they recognize their responsibilities to safeguard humanity for the sake of people today and for our future generations by making policies that end all forms of conflict. May they be the guardians of peace and prosperity rather than the agents of war and bloodshed. As a religious person, I firmly believe that this can only happen when mankind sets aside its selfish ways and materialistic desires and comes to recognize and worship the one God and strives to fulfill his rights and act upon his teachings.
رمضان يا خير الشهور.
Thank you very much for watching the video. Before I start the program with the speakers, I just want to give you some more details about the program. As you know, the members are fasting, and the fast is open at sunset around 10 after 7 p.m. And there will be a call for prayers around that time. The members will proceed to the prayer hall through the corridor to the right, and it is an open invitation. If anybody wants to join or see how we pray, you're most welcome to do so. The only thing I request is please take your shoes off before we enter the prayer hall. And also we have restrooms in the corridor, hallway, and for the ladies, immediately right to the door. With that said, I will first invite Ms. Karen Spiegel, our Riverside County District 2 Supervisor. And here is her brief introduction. I think if I start going through her credentials, it's going to take me all night here, but I will just go through it briefly. I know she's going to push me away. Yes. But Karen Spiegel, very briefly, 4 times mayor of Corona, and now the supervisor of Riverside County. I'm very proud to have her here. Short enough.
Good evening. The best part is I'm before Bill Asaley, so supervisor before an assemblyman, I love it. You know, I've been coming to iftar dinners for years. And I think what's the most important thing is it was because of the relationship. We started the Interfaith Association in Corona. We started that 20 some odd years ago, and I've been very active until I went on to the county. But I think the bottom line is finding out that we are more alike than we are different, no matter what faith we are. But that's because we have a foundation. Our lives are built on that foundation, and each one of our foundations is different. Our country was built on the freedom of religion. It's one of the pillars that brought those folks 200 plus years ago to the country to get away from the persecution and the different of beliefs from another country, and saying, we want to have our ability to have our freedoms. And this many years later, we're still continuing to hold fast to that. It's done through our traditions. Each of our faiths has our traditions that we practice. I'm of the Jewish faith. Just finished my grandson's bar mitzvah 2 weekends ago. So these have been passed on, as well as those of the Muslims, for thousands of years. And it's hanging on to a foundation, because how do you build and grow and become better if you don't have a foundation to start from? And that's what each one of us here tonight has grasped onto. And however we've directed our lives, it goes back to our foundation. But more importantly is, for you being here tonight has accepted that there are people of other foundations, other differences, other belief systems. And that's what makes America unique, is allowing that opportunity. So I thank you for including myself, my family, and everyone here to come together to learn. That's the only way we can grow and be better, is to learn. So open your hearts, open your minds, and we'll all grow to become better in our communities and hopefully make our country better. We're kind of in a little purple, and Sacramento. He's trying. But we have to get everybody to open up. And so thank you again. Thank you, Mike, for inviting me year after year. But it conflicts when there's iftar dinners on the same night. This year, for some reason, Corona's is in 2 weeks. So it really made it a yes. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, Karen, and we do hear you. We need to open our heart and minds and to work together to bring our nation together. With that said, actually, I didn't have him on the schedule. I called him a few weeks ago, and I found out that he is a very busy assemblyman, a newly elected, a great friend of ours, great friend of community, Mr. Bill Easley. He just walked in, surprised me, and I tell you that was a very pleasant surprise. And what I will do is I will request him to please come on the stage and just briefly share your thoughts about the freedom of religion, peace, and how we can get along.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, and Assalamu alaikum. It's an honor to be here. I do have the distinct honor of being the first Muslim ever elected to the state legislature in the state of California. And last week we passed a resolution honoring the month of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan, and I got to speak on it on the floor. And I gave two stories. I told a story first of my name. My name is Bilal. I go by Bill, but my name is Bilal. I told the story of Bilal. And those of you who don't know the story, it's a long story, but truncated. I'm named after an African slave. He was born into slavery during the time of Prophet Muhammad. And when he heard the message of Islam, he converted instantly. And he was ridiculed and beaten and tortured, but his faith never wavered. And his story made its way to the prophet who sent for his emancipation, and they negotiated his freedom. And he became the first person ever to call people to prayer, the muezzin. And it's such an interesting story to me because every faith has their way they call people to prayer. In Judaism, they use the horn. In Christianity, they use the bell. And in Islam, we use the human voice. So it's just it's a unique story, tells you about it, and it's a great name to hold. And I told the importance of Ramadan. Ramadan is such an important time for us, a time of spiritual renewal. We strengthen ourselves internally so we can fight externally. And there are spiritual benefits as well as physical benefits. And what I love about ancient texts is there's so much wisdom in there, and we take it for granted. But the text has told us how good fasting is for you. And it says if you only knew, you'd fast every day. And now science is figuring out all the benefits to fasting, and now it's cool. When I grew up, nobody knew what fasting was. All the kids were like, why would you not eat or drink? You know, and now they call it intermittent fasting, and everyone's doing it. So it's an honor to be here tonight, and wish you Ramadan blessings, Ramadan Kareem, and thank you always for inviting me and having me. Shukran.
Thank you very much, Bill. And I do follow you closely. You're doing a good job at Sacramento. Just keep up the good work. Now I am pleased to invite our next speaker. And she's none other than the mayor of San Bernardino, Helen Tran. Helen Tran, please go ahead. Just a brief before she comes up here, Helen Tran is a public servant, nonprofit leader, and mother of three. The daughter of Vietnamese refugees in search of American dream, Helen grew up in San Bernardino. In 2006, Helen began working for the city of San Bernardino as an executive assistant to the director of human resources. 10 years later, Helen became the youngest director of human resources for the city of San Bernardino, and now we are proud to invite our mayor, Ms. Helen Tran.
Good evening, everyone. It is such an honor to be here. Thank you so much. This is my first, along with my husband who's here with me, iftar, to be here. So it's a true honor. When I entered this mosque, the words that came to me that was shared to me was peace, love, and unity. And that was what I grew up in. My parents came here because of a war-torn country. We came here to seek a safe refuge in this beautiful country. And the fact that I'm here before you as a newly elected mayor of San Bernardino that has gone through a lot of setbacks and needs a lot of healing. I've only been in office for a little over 100 days, but I know there's a lot of work to be done. But with the mindset of love, peace, and unity, we can get that. We can really heal. We can really recover and really propel a city like San Bernardino forward. And so it is a true honor to be here before you and sharing this evening with our fellow elected and our newly elected assemblyman. We work together, so it's nice to see a familiar face here. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Helen Tran. And now, the next speaker, I have the honor of knowing him for the past few years as serving on the Corona Chamber Board of Directors. His name is Sam Mitani, and he is the Chief Executive Officer of Southwest Healthcare Corona Regional Medical Center. He served with Adventist Health in Bakersfield for over 23 years, most recently as Senior Vice President Operations. Sam has over 35 years of experience in healthcare management. Throughout his career, he has been instrumental in developing new programs and services, defining organizational culture, leadership, development. His value-based experience drives successful improvement of healthcare quality and safety. Sam holds fellow status in American College of Healthcare Executives. It's my pleasure, and please give him a warm welcome, Mr. Sam Mitani.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I start, I will take a minute to say thank you for the Ahmadiyya community for hosting this interfaith event. And I want to thank you for inviting me personally and my family this evening to pray fast together for this wonderful iftar. I know in the last couple of years during the pandemic, the Ahmadiyya community celebrated a real great milestone, celebrating their centennial year. This community has been here for more than 100 years. That's a great testament for your dedication, commitment, endurance to serving humanity. So thank you and appreciate all you do for this community. Ramadan, for most, is known for the month of fasting, which means we stop eating and drinking. But Ramadan is a lot more than stopping from eating. God doesn't want us to starve, right? The purpose of Ramadan is also for sharing blessings and for giving and for reflecting and for forgiveness. So if we take a minute and reflect to what we've done in the last year, since last Ramadan, did we work as hard toward the year after, the life after, or we just focus on surviving and succeeding in this world, on earth? I spent some time reflecting to see, did I make today better than yesterday? Is this year better than last year? Not only in me successful personally, but did I help my humanity? Did I help mankind? So I ask you to reflect and ask yourself, what have you done in the last year? Did we contribute toward world peace, or did we make it worse? Also, Ramadan is about forgiveness. And again, we should all look at the people we know and we met last year. Did we indirectly hurt their feeling? Did we say something that offended them? If we did, it is kind to reach out and say, forgive me, I didn't mean it. Because a lot of time we hurt people, but we didn't mean it. So it's within our religion to reach out and ask for forgiveness. Around the world, Muslims are being prosecuted. They're being active at home, their cities, their countries, just because they say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. That's the reason why they're being prosecuted. And the Ahmadiyya communities is no different. The Ahmadiyya communities have been enduring prosecution and being denied their self-determination and practicing Islam, even though the Ahmadiyya community preaches freedom of religion and try to serve humanity wherever they are around the world. So for that, I want to say thank you for what you do, for being persistent, and for enduring all this prosecution. And I want to end by saying, it doesn't matter what politicians do. In Europe, they're trying to legislate women not to wear hijab, as if that's going to make a difference. I mean, God told us in the Quran, if you're being prosecuted and your life on the line, you can commit sins, you can deny the presence of God, you can deny His messenger, Muhammad, peace upon him, just to save your life. So it doesn't matter what politicians around the world trying to do, Islam is here to stay, and Muslim will prosper. And with a community like yours who stand the test of time, that's how we're going to make it through. So I encourage you to stay strong, stay fast, and we are all here to support your community and to support our sisters and brothers in Islam for better days in the future. And again, I want to end by thanking you one more time for having us here tonight, and God bless you, and may God be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam, for your kind words and sharing your thoughts about the religions. And I just want to mention that Sam is here with his wife Gina and son Tariq. And when I mentioned Corona Chamber of Commerce, it wouldn't be justice done unless I talk about Bobby Spiegel, who is the president and the backbone of our business community in Corona. Bobby, would you please stand up? I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I want to thank you. And also, he's here with his daughter Tanya, and I'm missing your grandson RJ, by the way. With that said, I'm going to move on to our next speaker, Raji Rab. He is a peace activist and good friend, and had been advocating peace and security for many years, and is very much involved in the community, and would like to briefly share his thoughts about peace and security in this world. Raji and I share the same passions with aircraft, and like from pilot to pilot, happy landings.
Good evening, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum. It is a great opportunity in the month of Ramadan to have Interfaith. My God, it looks beautiful. Look at us. This is what humanity looks like. I want to share just a couple of minutes. As I go to Hindu temples, Sikh gurdwaras, churches, and synagogues, I am received with welcome hands, open arms. No difference whatsoever, only love. And that is the message I brought here today, the message of love, the message of humanity. But what we need to do more is bigger events like this that bring us closer. What I've seen missing link, the missing element is the communication between our communities. If we have larger gatherings like this, we will learn a lot from each other. Recently, I went to a school, elementary school, and I was looking at kids play. I saw kids of all diversified communities holding hand in hand, playing with each other. Kids are inclusive. That's what we need to do. We are Americans. We are the role models of the world. We are the leaders of the free world. And those who are persecuted look upon us to give them a lending hand. This is why I'm here today, to share my thoughts and my sentiments that look, humanity is a great bouquet of flowers. We all have our significance in our own way. But we all get together, lend a hand outside this gathering, and make little differences in our lives and other people's lives. I tell you, this will be a safer, more beautiful, peaceful world. Also, in the end, I would say that just because of this great cause, I've been honored by my community, friends and followers, and people around California and America to have my name in the United States Senate elections next year. So I would like to share that sentiment with you, that announcement with you, that I'm going there to make sure to put a halt on any kind of persecution. We have different faith, different races, different cultures around here, but we will not allow persecution of any community anywhere in the world. And if there is one, I tell you, and I speak to those of you who can hear me here online, that I will be the first one to come to defend you, to protect you, and to fight for you and your rights. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Unlike any other politician, I asked him not to talk about politics, and thank you very much for sticking with your strict script. Now, it's with great pleasure I want to introduce our only mayor of Corona, California, Tony Daddario. Tony and his wife, Christy, moved to Corona from Orange County in 2009. And to make a difference and to add value to the city of Corona, he decided to run for city council, and he was elected in 2020. I'm taking you 2 years back, sorry. And is currently serving as the mayor. And if you ask Tony what his greatest accomplishments are, he would tell you he is a husband, father, friend, coach, and an advocate. Please give him a warm welcome, Mr. Tony Daddario.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome and the invitation. When Fatah invited me, he said, well, you're going to need to speak. And I said, oh, great. Thank you for at least giving me notice. And then he suggested 2 topics, and he said, you could talk about fasting or you could talk about world peace. And really, I should be talking to nobody about fasting. Fasting in my house is the time between getting up off of the couch and walking to the kitchen. That is fasting. So I feel not qualified to talk about that. And quite frankly, I'm not qualified to talk about world peace, but I do have some thoughts. The great American poet Walt Whitman says to be curious, not judgmental. And my own curiosity led me to become a city council member. Nobody told me, and I'm going to blame Karen, what the hell am I doing becoming a city council member or a politician? Not qualified for either one of those. But in my time as an elected, one of the things that I've had the great pleasure, this is my third iftar dinner. And the very first one, I'll tell you, it was a little nerve-wracking because I'm Italian, and Italians eat, a lot of great Italian food. And when I went to this iftar, and I thought, oh, geez, what am I going to be able to eat? And then as the spread came out, people were telling me what it was, and I thought to myself, well, that's just a meatball, but it's a little bit different shape, and it was delicious. And so through the food, I learned more about the Muslim culture, and it has absolutely been wonderful. Very quickly, I will try and bring everything back to my comfort zone, which is food. I've had the honor of seeing the Corona Norco Islamic Society Mosque, and it's beautiful. And my curiosity led me to a tour where I've seen, this is the most interesting thing, in your guys' bathrooms, the way that you guys sit down and you wash your feet and you wash your hands as part of your prayers. I mean, it's just a wonderful experience. The whole taking off your shoes things is not great for a large stature person, but I see a lot of folks come in and they have sandals and they kick them off and they walk in and they do their prayers, and it's just been wonderful. So my curiosity has led... Is that my time limit? My curiosity has led me to learn more about your culture. You read right to left, we read left to right. Just little things like that. You're not different from us at all. And it wasn't until I accepted that my curiosity drives me to learn more about your culture that it really became endeared to me, because I've met many wonderful Muslims in my community. They've been so welcoming, they've been so open arms, and they've educated me on your guys' religion, and it's beautiful. And it's not very different from a lot of other religions out there. So I'm very excited and honored to be part of this iftar. Terribly sorry that we have to wait another 30 or so minutes. But you guys, you men and women of your faith are much stronger than some of us, that is for sure. So thank you once again. I enjoyed the invitation, and I look forward to many more iftars with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate your candidness. Now I will welcome, actually we invited the Assemblyman Freddie Rodriguez. Sorry, Tony, that's what iftar does to your throat. And since the Assemblyman wasn't available, he was kind enough to ask, or from his office, Nadia Bahinia, to say some kind words and extend some certificate, I believe.
Good evening, everybody. As mentioned, my name is Nadia Baena, and I work for Assemblymember Freddie Rodriguez, who is actually the Assemblymember for the city of Chino. He sends his regards, but I'm happy that he wasn't able to attend, because that means I'm able to attend and be a part of this great experience. This is my first Ramadan event, and I've learned so much already. The main thing I learned today and that I'm taking with me from this event is that we all come from one soul, as mentioned by the friends at my table, one soul, and that's what the message is that a lot of speakers presenting here today were sharing, that we all come from one, and our goal is to make it to world peace, and that's something that I believe your faith and all of your people who follow the faith are trying to do, and I hope, the hopes is that we can all work together, and the Assembly member is always happy and proud to stand by all of you, and is excited to keep working with you throughout the years to come. And he wishes you many, many, many blessings throughout this Ramadan season, and so do I. And I'm very excited and thankful to be here once again. And I have a certificate for the community today. I'm not exactly sure who to present it to.
I will invite our president to accept.
So I just wanted to thank you for inviting me, and this is just to continue to show our gratitude from Assemblymember Rodriguez and the hopes that we can continue working together.
Very nice of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Nadia, well done.
All right. Now it's turn for a very handsome Assistant Chief or Deputy Chief of Police from the Chino Police Department. And I have known Kevin Manson for quite a while. Actually, he calls himself to be the Assistant Chief of Police of Chino, but I'll drop you a little secret. He lives in Corona. So with that said, I'm going to have him say some few words.
It's actually Eastville, but we're working on changing that zip code to Eastville. So
that is East Corona.
East Corona. So when Fate asked me to come speak, I thought, what a great opportunity for me to come here to talk about the department that I serve and the community that I serve. Because I'm just so proud to be a member of the Chino Police Department, to have the opportunity to serve the Chino Valley community. So thank you for inviting me. I am pleased to be part of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community Annual Iftar event, and this is my first one. This is a wonderful annual interfaith event, and I know it was said earlier, but during the pandemic, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community completed a landmark centennial year, making 100 years of the vibrant community in America. It's so nice to be in person again and get past that pandemic. My name is Kevin Minton. I'm the Deputy Chief for the Chino Police Department. I'm here on behalf of Mayor Ulloa, the City Council, and Chief Simmons. I'd like to take a minute to introduce myself. I've worked for the Chino Police Department for 26 years. There's no other agency that I'd rather be working for and a community that I'd rather be serving for a bunch of reasons, but I want to talk about a couple of them. One is the opportunity to work alongside some of the best men and women of the Chino Police Department. They have a true passion to serve this community. So last week we had our annual awards ceremony. We do it every year. We recognize our officers and our professional staff. And we had the honor to hand out 8 life-saving awards and 16 meritorious awards. One officer, thank you. One officer received the 3 life-saving awards, and he's also a Medal of Valor recipient for rescuing a victim out of a fully engulfed burning vehicle. So a true hero. Our theme for that event, the awards ceremony, was commitment to our community. And this is also our core organizational value for the city of Chino. We are privileged to serve a community that supports the police department. And I want to take you back in 2020, if you remember, there was a nationwide movement in several cities throughout our country that were talking about defunding the police. And in some cities, they were actually portraying police officers as villains. This did not occur in the Chino Valley. In fact, our community wrapped their arms around the Chino Police Department and they lifted us up. During this time, our department did not just survive, we actually thrived. And that's because of the community, which included all of you. I want you to know that we support the Muslim families. You are part of our community. Before coming to this event, I printed out the invitation that was sent, and I couldn't help but notice what the footer said. It said, "Love for all, hatred for none." This could not be more true in so many different examples throughout the country. So thank you once again for having me. I'm looking forward to the first Iftar event that I've been to, so thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Now, I can't believe myself, I'm down to the last speaker. And I think all the members who are fasting, they're looking at me angrily, when is he going to finish so they can open fast at 7:10? So, my last speaker is our clergy, Imam Kausar, and I will give you a brief introduction. Actually, I asked him, how would I introduce you? And he sent me a bio that's going to take me 10 minutes to read. But I try to cut it short. I'll go as fast as I can. Imam Kausar was born in New York, grew up here in Chino, California. After completing 7 years course in Islamic theology and comparative study of religious at Jamia Ahmadiyya, Canada, located in Toronto in 2012. He began serving the mission of the Ahmadiyya Muslim in Islam in Tanzania before settling in the Pacific Islands, where he served for nearly 5 years. During his time, he met with all 3 presidents of these islands nations and introducing the movement to them, along with helping to establish the foundation of the faith in many remote locations where Islam has not existed before. He also served as chairman of faith-based organization under UN presence in Kiribati Islands. Sorry if I messed that up. Okay. In 2018, he began serving the greater New York City area, heading 4 mosques in around the city. During his time in New York, a street was so codenamed Ahmadiyya Way, and construction began for the largest Ahmadiyya mosque minaret in North America. He has been serving the greater Los Angeles chapter of Ahmadiyya Muslim community since July of 2022. Imam Mahmoud Kausar has been tremendously involved in the community, trying to foster brotherhood, building relations with interfaith leaders, and being actively involved in youth program. Don't be surprised if you see a young man standing in front of you. I welcome Imam Kausar.
Everybody expected a really long beard, right? I can imagine. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today we're gathered in the holiest month in Islam. This is the month of Ramadan. And to be honest, all of the previous speakers have already said my entire speech, so I'm planning on just walking off. Because every beautiful aspect of Ramadan that I had pre-planned had already been mentioned. So I had to come up with a few new ones while I was listening. First and foremost, in Islam, and in every religion, there's a definition of religion, what it means to have a religion. And in Islam, it's a very simple definition. You have to love 2 things. You have to love God, and you have to love His creation. That's what religion is. As long as you're doing these 2 things, you are following a religion that'll lead you to some success. Now, in the month of Ramadan, it's interesting because each and every one of us has an interesting experience in this blessed month of Ramadan. But if I were to summarize it in a nutshell, it would be 2 things. The first and foremost is that we feel the pain. The purpose of fasting is that it's not enough to empathize with people who are suffering. You have to sympathize. You have to feel a sense of that pain. When you do, then you can genuinely turn around and make that drastic or dramatic change in the world that you so direly desire. Otherwise, you're simply looking from a window, and deciding whether or not you should help these people or not. And if we were to look at our own world here in America, talk about feeling the pain. We're asked to feel the pain of those who are hungry. We're asked to feel the pain of those who are thirsty. We're asked to feel the pain of those who are oppressed, those who are suffering through poverty and disease and injustice. Every element of the world around us, we are asked to feel that pain in order for us to turn around and pray and create that change. The second aspect of the blessed month of Ramadan is to relieve the pain. On one end, you feel the pain. On the other end, you have to relieve the pain. And how do you relieve the pain, and why? Why should we be asked to relieve the pain? Because in essence, the month of Ramadan, you and I, those of us who are fasting, we don't eat from dawn to dusk, not simply to lose weight, not simply to join the newest newest trend of intermittent fasting. We do it so we can understand the greater purpose. The purpose of creating that change within ourselves. And then when we try to relieve the pain, we try to relieve the pain in addition by being generous, giving in charity, helping the poor. Remember, if I'm saving on one meal, that's money that's saved that I can turn around and help somebody else. And all Muslims around the world collectively do this. We're asked to relieve the pain of hunger by feeding the poor. We are asked to relieve the pain of thirst by giving others clean water. We're asked to relieve the pain of poverty by giving to the needy. And we're asked to relieve the pain of injustice by standing up for what is right and what is just. To give you an example, the second Khalifa, or the second Caliph of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace, he was a very interesting leader because whenever he enacted laws and various policies, he didn't simply enact them sitting wearing fancy robes behind, surrounded by wealthy noblemen. Instead, during the day, whatever laws that were passed, at night he would disguise himself, go down to the grassroots and walk the towns to make sure that whatever was passed, is it making a positive change or not? In many instances, he would even find what the true application of that policy was, and he would overturn it. He had no problem, no ego there. In one instance, he noticed a lady with young children, and they were all suffering as a result of one of his policies. Without getting into any detail, he felt so bad about how much these children and this woman was suffering that he went to the treasury himself, got whatever was needed for this family and carried it on his own shoulders. And when people said, "Let us help you," he said, "No, this is as a result of what I have done. I will create that change." So many of our leaders are here today. These are great examples that exist in Islam for creating that peaceful environment around us. Because let's face it, in America, we have a wealth gap that's getting bigger and bigger. We have all kinds of corruption and injustice and domestic abuse and inflation, you name it, we have all these issues. We're still paying $5 a gallon. It's amazing. Many of you may not feel it as much. I came from New York City, they're paying $3 a gallon. On a more serious note, every 9 seconds, a woman is abused here in America. Not in Africa, not in Asia, but here in America. So there are real challenges that we have around us. And so, in order for us to truly relieve the pain, and if we were to make a long list, it would be an exhaustive list of what we need to do here in America to create that lasting change, but it can be done if we start. A philosophy that I'd like to share with you is very simple. It was mentioned by the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. He was in Philadelphia, inaugurating the very first purpose-built mosque. And many of you may not have been there, but it is built in the northern part of Philadelphia, the poorest and most challenging area to live in. Houses across the street of this multi-million-dollar mosque go for $5,000. And in this place, he saw the pain and suffering of those neighbors that we had. And he said, the world is full of pain and suffering. Every day we see people who are struggling to survive, who are living in poverty and despair, who are facing oppression and persecution. As Muslims, we are taught to be compassionate and to care for those who are less fortunate than us. We are taught to wipe away the tears of those who are suffering and to provide them with comfort and support. It reminds me of a story of a Muslim saint. And I've mentioned this a few times to our members already, but to our guests, this will be the first time. A great saint in the Muslim world, when he was young, he made a prayer to God. He said, "Oh God, I wish to change the entire world. Oh God, I wish to change the entire world." He says, years went by, I became more mature and realized I wasn't able to change anything. So he went back, he said, "Let me go back to God." He said, "God, I come back to you. I realize I didn't change a single thing in the world. So now I pray, oh God, help me change my family. We know how that works, right? So then years go by, now he's an old man. And he goes back to God. He says, oh God, I thought I could change the world. I wasn't able to. I then thought I could change at least my family, and I wasn't able to. So now, oh God, I pray to you, help me change myself. And then God responded, that should have been your first prayer. And so although we're talking about world peace, changing the entire world, it can start with each and every one of us. You and I can make that change if we decide to do that. In fact, the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community just a few months ago was again in America. And he was touring Dallas and Chicago and Maryland. And there he said in Dallas, a very beautiful statement, he said, each one of us has a role to play in the cause for peace. Wherever there is cruelty or injustice, we must condemn it. We must urge our political leaders that instead of propelling our nations towards war, rather than raising the temperature through threats of retribution and violence, they should endeavor to cool the tensions that exist both at an international level and within nations through diplomacy and wisdom. They must ensure that the peace and security of the world remains their paramount objective. So now whether you're a teacher, you're a sales associate, you're an IT professional, it doesn't matter. We all have to play our role for the cause of peace. And in this blessed month of Ramadan, as we are trying to deepen our faith and connect with God Almighty, there's a beautiful saying of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace. Because I believe that if we truly want peace, then we have to bring God into our lives. God is that unifying factor that can bring us all together, for us all to realize that we are all the children of God. The saying goes that on the day of judgment, God will say, "Oh, children." He will speak to one of the people. He will say, "Oh, son of Adam, I was sick, but you did not visit me." So he will reply, "Oh, my Lord, how could I visit you? You are the Lord of all the worlds." He will say, "Did you not know of my servant, so-and-so? He was sick, and you did not visit him. Did you know that if you had visited him, you would have found me there?" Then he says, "O son of Adam, I asked you for food, but you didn't feed me." And again he will reply, "O Lord of the worlds, how could I feed you? You don't need food." And God will say, "Did you not know that my servant was so-and-so, and he asked for food, but you did not feed him? Did you know that if you had fed him, you would have found me as a reward? You would have found me there." Finally, he says, "I asked for water, but you did not give it to me." And the person will say, "How could I give you water when you are the Lord of the worlds?" And he will say, "Did you not know that my servant so-and-so asked for water, but you did not give it to him? Did you know that if you had given him water, you would have found me there?" At the end of the day, our goal should be that you and I have to be there for everybody who is in need. If you and I step up, the world will be a greater place. It doesn't require world leaders. It doesn't require the change from the top down. It requires the change from the ground up. We are those grassroots movements. Look at how many people are here. Everybody is tuned in. Everybody is hungry. It's an amazing atmosphere that nobody's pouncing on the people who are going to serve us food. We're all calm and patient, and we are eager, again, to complete our spiritual food before we start our physical food. I want to thank everybody who came and presented beautiful sayings, beautiful thoughts, beautiful advices to all of the people here, to all the community members, to the mayors and so many other representatives. Thank you again, all of you, for coming. We would like to give you a brief breakdown of what's going to happen next. In about 5 minutes or so, the time for the opening of the fast will happen. So before that, we will have a moment of silent prayer. After the silent prayer, some of the members around you will proceed into the prayer hall. You'll be able to see them on the TV screens. We will do our prayer for the evening, and then we will head back in here to have our dinner, our iftar, which is what is known. So again, thank you all. May God bless you all, and thank you again for joining us here tonight.
Thank you very much, Imam Sahib, for a heartwarming address. As I mentioned earlier, our fast opens at 7:10. We have some dates in front of everybody here and a water bottle. Traditionally, we open fast with the dates and followed by water. And then, before we even do that, I will call Mr. Jinjua here for the call for prayers. As soon as he does the call, starts the call, we open fast. After he's done with his call, which we call azan, all our members are going to move to the prayer hall, and all the guests, like I had mentioned earlier, they can witness us how we pray, or we can stay here, mingle among ourselves while the food is being set for dinner. And after their prayers are done, they will be joining us here in about 15 to 20 minutes. So, at this point, I think we have a few more minutes. And what I will do is I will ask Imam Kausar Sahib to please lead us in silent prayers. If you would like to join, please do so. Thank you.
Please join me in the silent prayer. Dua. Ameen. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.